Welcome, Arisen. We pawns have long awaited your arrival.
What is this? Pawns. They bend the knee to you so readily, but then... No. Surely you cannot be the Arisen.
You seek the Riftstone, do you not? We can take you to it. Pray. Come this way.
Dragon's Dogma is an action-adventure RPG set in a world plagued by a deadly cycle that entrusts humanity's survival to a single soul and his ability to command otherworldly beings called pawns. Today we are discussing what makes this game so special and why it's a great addition to your collection of RPGs. Of course, if you already played the first game or the sequel, you don't need this video, but you're welcome to stick around and listen to my praise about this masterpiece. You may be wondering why I'm making this video a year after launch, and that's because I can. And I want to. But aside from that, let's dive into the first mechanic that makes this game stand out from the others. Pawns. Pawns are NPC characters you will fill your party with throughout the game. Starting with your own personal pawn you create like you do your character at the start. Unlike other games, where we see the player meet random NPCs and recruit them through tasks or in-game currency, or more popularly among gacha games, collect them through drops, Dragon's Dogma is unique in this way due to a system that lets you recruit other players' pawns into your service. This is done by visiting a Riftstone, a tear in the world that lets you traverse into the rift where pawns reside. There you will be able to find a pawn that suits your party's needs, varying in race, gender, language, skills, classes, and passive personality traits. Some even come with quests you can complete for rewards. Pawns also differ to other NPCs in games in the way of not acting like a human despite looking like them. They have one goal, and that is to serve the Arisen, which is you. On the topic of pawns, I'd also like to address the big scary elephant in the room that everyone seems to complain about. Throughout the game, you'll learn of a disease that pawns can pick up called the Dragon's Plague, a sickness that causes pawns to act erratic and disobey commands. This debilitation can be spread between pawns you recruit, and even infect your main pawn. While I won't spoil you on what happens, I can safely tell you that there is ways to spot and then ultimately stop the sickness. It's not permadeath, and it's not the end of the game. Yes, it is an annoying mechanic, but it can be dealt with pretty easily. The easiest way to stop Dragon's Plague is in the Rift. You look for the signs, which are red glowing eyes or pale skin. Do keep in mind that Dragon's Plague will not be listed on the status effects of each character. If you do notice any of the signs, don't recruit that pawn. Simple as that. And if you do happen to accidentally recruit one that may have it and it gets passed to one of your other pawns, simple method to get rid of that. If it gets to your main pawn and you see the signs before it's too late, you can easily just kill your pawn, go back to a Riftstone, and revive them. Or if it's on a pawn that's not yours that you recruited, dismiss them. It doesn't spread throughout each pawn and stay there. It passes from pawn to pawn, so it's not hard to catch it. But you have a limited time in-game to catch it before it starts to affect everything. Now that that's out of the way, we can talk about pawn skills and how to find the ones that suit your needs. When you go into the Rift, there is a stone that you came through. You can look for certain pawns with character traits, skills, or classes that you're looking for. As you see here, I'm looking for a warrior or a fighter. Either one would do. I needed another melee class. And you can go through the Rift and shift with RB and LB or L1, R1, whatever you have on controller, and look through their skills and their other things they have that you might need. Talking to them also, you can go and view their details and the person who created it. Using all of this is the best way to build a useful party that you can use throughout the game. Just remember to keep an eye out for those red glowing eyes. That's something that you should avoid at all costs. Now we can talk about why you're really here. The combat. I'd say a good comparison for the combat would be The Witcher, or maybe modded Skyrim, but I haven't come across a third-person RPG that quite captures the feel of being a complete badass, but also still being able to be curb-stomped by a small group of common enemies. While it doesn't share the difficulty of the Souls games, it definitely is up there in respects to combat flow and flashiness. Each class, which are known as vocations, play a role in taking down the vast variety of baddies this game has to offer. There are 10 vocations in the game, as of now. We will only be talking about 6, because discovering the 4 that are hidden is an experience all on its own. The starting classes are as follows: Fighter, Archer, Thief, and Mage. Fighters, as you probably have guessed, excel at close-range combat, being able to overwhelm their foes with flurries of attacks and parries using their sword and shield. A terrifying presence for any foe who doesn't excel at standing on business. Main character vibes for sure. Archers are masters of stabbing people from far away. Annoying bird in the sky? No problem. Goblin sitting on a high rock throwing its own shit at you? Bad day for him. Using their bendy stick with a string, they are able to unleash a barrage of arrows, or perfectly timed super shots that would have put Chris Kyle to shame. Being agile enough to climb and scamper around while death dabbing on whoever crosses their path. Thieves are employers of the sneaky snack style, being able to use their skills to slip past enemies and surprise them with that dagger they always wanted for their birthday, in the back. While every class can climb and batter monsters, the thief excels at this, having specific abilities meant to disembowel their foes, bringing them down to the party's level, so they can have a reasonable discussion. Mobility is the name of the game when it comes to this vocation, seeing some skills allowing the player to reach spots that normally aren't wheelchair accessible. Having a thief in your party is kind of a no-brainer. Next, we have Mage. Excuse me. I actually don't have footage of Mage gameplay because I don't enjoy the class. Although it is beloved by the community, I just don't enjoy the playstyle. But we can still be friends, right? Mages are casters of magic. From harming elemental spells to healing pools of grace that keep the rest of the party alive, many tricks up the mage's sleeve when it comes to all situations. Even being able to levitate to reach those pesky ledges that the game really doesn't want you to reach. While it may not be my cup of tea, having a mage is important for any party. Just don't expect me to play magician while my companions are playing piñata with monsters and having all the fun. Do keep in mind that you are able to change yours and your main pawn's vocation at any guild or inn, usually found in major cities or small villages. Now we have the two advanced vocations, Warrior and Sorcerer, which are variations of the Fighter and Mage. Again, I don't have any footage of the Sorcerer because I actually enjoy violence. The Warrior is the literal embodiment of fuck around and find out. Sporting a large two-handed sword, or axe, or hammer, they are able to make pudding of monsters' weak points, with slow but precise and powerful attacks that would make Highlander from For Honor very proud. While slow, they are able to power through oncoming attacks while charging up their devastating sweeps and chops, putting an end to the hopes and dreams of anything that decides their dental plan wasn't good enough. Sorcerers are essentially upgraded versions of mages, just with more boom boom and no healy healy, sporting more damaging spells that leave them vulnerable but dish out white middle class family numbers and damage. If you have one in your party, make sure you protect them like the last piece of French toast at a breakfast buffet. The ultimate glass cannon build indeed. The last four classes that I will not be mentioning are hidden classes that you discover throughout the game, each of them having very powerful and very useful skills that mix and match with each party differently, but I'm not going to ruin the fun in finding those. Those are a treat to find on your own. Each party sports 4 members, and within those 4 members you can have as many of each class as you want. You can go full rogue, where everyone's a thief, or you can go full Oonga Boonga and have everyone run around with hammers. It's really up to you, but I advise in the early game to try to flesh out and have a little bit of everything. It's always good, because once you experience those little bird bitches, you're not going to want just warriors the whole time. Now on to world state and progression. This game does not hold your hand in this regard. Leveling up your character and vocation is simple enough. Defeating enemies and clearing quests sees you advancing in those areas. Quests, however, are not shoved in your face and don't come with a manual, unless you count Wiki. 6 times out of 10, you're going to have to actually explore and look for what you're supposed to be doing. Your pawns actually come in handy in this regard. Sometimes you can ask them to help you locate where you're supposed to go. And if you hire other players' pawns, if they have completed this quest in the past with that player, they will have quest knowledge that you would not be previously privy to. While quest markers do exist, they're very static and often are just big yellow areas where what you're looking for might reside in. I see this as an absolute positive, because it engages the player more to actually go out and seek. You can go and talk to any NPC. Every NPC has a name, has an affinity towards you, and has a personality. This way you can actually interact with the world and figure your own way out. Yes, the pawns can help you find that, but often I find it's way more fun to actually engage. The affinity system works that every time you interact with an NPC, whether you help them with a quest, give them a gift, or just talk to them every day, your affinity slowly rises with them. Vice versa, when you attack them, you attack people they like, or you just do negative things in front of them, that causes their affinity to go down with you. And your affinity does affect a lot of things in the game. Quest givers won't give you quests if your affinity is too low with them. And sometimes if your affinity is too high, you get unsolicited gifts mailed to your house. Not bad gifts, it's just weird they know where we live. And every NPC in the game is also not immortal. They can die. They can die to a random attack in town. They can die by walking off a cliff. There is a way to bring them back, but I'm going to let you figure that out on your own because that's part of the charm of this game. The choices you make in Quest also affect your relationship with people and whether or not certain NPCs will die or live. Everything you do has weight, and that's why I love this game so much, is that it's not just a static RPG where you can go around and kill a town and there's no repercussions besides a bounty. It's a game to where you actually have to think about, whoa, hold on, this person might be beneficial to me, this person might have something for me later. You have to weigh your decisions. Another way the game doesn't hold your hand is these decisions you make, the game automatically saves after. You have two save files. One is a end save where you sleep, and another one is an autosave. The autosave updates all the time. So if you make a decision and you fuck up and you didn't like the outcome, your only option is to A, reset the day, or B, live with it. Or C, if you really want to, delete your whole character, make a new character, but who wants to do that, right? Even your pawns have affinity. Lots of times after battle, your pawn will high-five you. But if you have other pawns that aren't your main pawn in your party, you can lower your affinity with your pawn just by interacting with them in a friendly way. It's kind of crazy. It's like a jealous girlfriend. But that's how in-depth the AI in this game is. The AI has feelings, and you can hurt those feelings very easily and cause a lot of issues. The relationships you build with NPCs will affect the story throughout the game. Different cutscenes will show different NPCs that you have a higher level of affinity with, depending on the choices you made prior. But don't let that stop you from going on a rampage. If you want to kill random NPCs, who am I to stop you? Just remember, it does have consequences. The quest system is interesting even apart from the lack of handholding, in the way that you're able to go about completing them in different ways. For example, I wanted to go to the neighboring nation before I was supposed to get equipment not found in the starting city. Later on down the main quest line, you're supposed to go there either way, but some obstacle stops you. As you see here, I was looting in the town that protects the border between the two nations. I spotted a carriage going through, and then a big brain idea popped in my head to stow away in it. The guard didn't see me until I was already through. Then they all tried to jump me. Insert an immigration joke here. And while yes, there is quests with the typical RPG mumbo-jumbo, go kill this, go fetch that, the combat in the game is engaging enough to keep it somewhat fresh. You're not always going to be doing the same thing every 5 seconds, like in some RPGs. The other half a percentage of quests are sneaking into places to gather information or finding an NPC in a crowd with a very loose description given to you that's trying to assassinate a person of importance. There's so much to do when it comes to the quest, some of which are also affected by the progression of time, forcing you to spend your time wisely. The world is alive and moves with you as you progress. And that slates into my next topic, the environment. Dragon's Dogma has a fairly sizable world packed with new things to discover around every bend, and often things change up every few days in-game to keep the world fresh and alive. Big monsters you killed will decay or be eaten by other monsters, leaving room for something else undesirable to take its place. Caves and encampments you've cleared will be occupied by a different force if left dormant for too long. NPCs that have lost their lives won't just lay around. Over time, their bodies will be transported to their city's morgue, wherever they reside. The world is your playground. You can pick up rocks, boxes, people, animals, etc. to run around with them, or throw them in the water, or play catch with your pawns, whatever your sick heart desires. Many places contain interactable equipment such as ballistas for taking down flying targets, or sometimes pulley elevators that can move you across the terrain at the risk of being attacked by harpies. All in all, realistic in helping you, or hurting you, through tough situations. In the same way as the environment, creatures and people will react to what you do to them as well. Wounding a griffin's wing will cause them to have trouble flying. Stabbing an ogre in the eye will see them flailing around blindly trying to hit you, all to your benefit. The world is always trying to kill you, walking down a path that suddenly becomes a cliff, causing you to plummet. Random battles between NPCs and creatures. Hell, even the water is fatal to everything living because of... You thought I was going to spoil that for you? Before I end this video, I want to address the whole rumor about microtransactions. Everything in the game that you can pay real money for, you can earn in-game. It's not a requirement to spend actual money in this game. So don't let the people who complain about it fool you. This game lets you earn everything that you can buy with real money in-game. Hopefully I gave you a reason to check this amazing adventure out, and if I didn't, thank you for at least watching to the end. I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments, whether you've played the games or just hearing about them for the first time. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I find talking about things you actually enjoy make for better content. If you enjoyed the video, please don't be scared to abuse the like button, or make that subscribe button question its past. Every little bit helps in the way of motivating me to do what I've always dreamed of doing, making content for people who enjoy it. And with that, I'll shut up now.
I should have expected you.
All together now! We attack as one!
I shall lead the charge!